Hi everyone, welcome to the first episode of the CollegeROI Podcast. Today, our interview is with Lawrence Alexander, the former Associate Director of Admissions at Brown University. Good morning everyone, I'm Anthony from CollegeROI. Today I'm joined by Lawrence. Lawrence, thank you for having us.
Hey, Anthony, thank you so much for having me here today. Really glad to have this conversation with you.
Can you briefly go over some of your experience, how long you've been in kind of the higher education sphere?
Yeah, absolutely. Lawrence Alexander, I'm a first-generation college student, so I was the first in my family to go to college. Originally from Jersey City, New Jersey. Dad's a mailman, mom's a nurse. Went to St. Peter's Prep, Old Boys Jesuit School in Jersey City, proud graduate of Kane University, and then Montclair State, go Hawks. I've spent the last 20 years working in K through college. I started my career in higher education and student affairs, but then spent the bulk of my career working in college counseling and college access. So I started in working at an all-girls school in New York City. There's a network of all-girls schools called the Young Women's Leadership Network of Schools. I worked at the one in Astoria, Queens. Shout out to Twills. And then I moved over to working in independent and boarding schools in 2014. And most recently, I spent time working in admissions at Brown University as the Associate Director of Admissions. And now I work independently as a private college admissions counselor. So the sum of my experience has always been around education, particularly around helping high school students access higher education. For me, it's the full circle story of wanting to be who I both needed and the people that I had when I was a student applying to college.
Great. Have you found the experience rewarding so far?
Oh man, it's been amazing. I think in a profession where I am positioned to teach, I learn.
Mm-hmm.
I learn from my students. I learn from my families. They come with everything they need: the drive, the resiliency, the aspirations. They even have a sense of what they want to do when they grow up. So really, and I try to reduce it to size, the college admissions process is but this period in the timeline of their whole life. Turns out it's an important period, and there's a lot of expertise, a lot of guidance. Oh, and a big bill. That is college tuition. So it's a small period of time, but it's an important period of time.
Very, very impactful. I remember feeling the same way going through the college process myself. I'm a first generation student, and that was something that was always at the back of my mind. How am I going to afford college? Am I going to be able to get in? This is the first time I'm going through this experience. How much can I really capitalize on? So I think that we find that a lot in a lot of the parents that we talk to. From your perspective inside admissions, why do you think the college process feels so overwhelming to families today?
I try to think about, apart from the college admissions process, what process in the timeline of a human being's life would be as anxiety inducing, would be as unnerving, would be as expensive. Marriage, buying a home, not even buying a car. So we're asking families to get together for the first time in their child's life, maybe for the first time in their lives as parents, to get together to do this really, really time-consuming, document-riddled, super expensive, consequence-riddled thing.
Mm-hmm.
And in many cases, we're asking them to do it with little to no expertise in guiding them.
Yeah.
Here's what you'll appreciate. You remember doing the FAFSA?
Mm-hmm.
And it was a website. I don't, Anthony, want to hit you with a round of back in my day. But back in my day, The FAFSA was a 3-sheeted set of carbon copy forms,
Oh man.
and you only got one. So you imagine being online filling out the FAFSA and getting a data point wrong and having to like backspace or start it over again.
Hmm.
Imagine getting it wrong on a carbon copy and you've only got one shot. It feels very Eminem, very 8 Mile, very not missing your chance to blow.
Yeah. Permanent, written in ink.
Yes,
Oh man. That sounds stressful,
yes,
man. And I guess obviously the situation's kind of changed a little bit, but a lot of families still have those sort of same grievances. Everything feels like as soon as you submit that application, everything goes in, everything feels set in stone. It feels very difficult to kind of be like, I need to maybe adjust my financial situation. Maybe I want to appeal that financial aid that I received. A lot of families still feel like they're flying blind. Also, when it comes to kind of education about the college application process in general, um, what advice do you have for parents that feel like they're flying blind? Uh, they don't know when to start, where to start, how to start.
sure. I think that college admissions and preparing for college still gets positioned in the wrong place, at least in the court of public opinion. A lot of people think, well, we don't have to think about college till 11th grade. Well, my child is in ninth grade. They're just starting high school. It's way too early to think about college. And to the extent that they're thinking about the college essay, letters of recommendation, the SATs and the ACTs, they're correct. But of the financial preparation,
Hmm.
somewhere between you find out we're pregnant and we're having a child and the day that child is born, those are good times to be thinking about the financial implications associated with college admissions. And now, putting no blame on a lack of forethought from parents, no parents want to disappoint their kids.
Of course.
You raise your children and you want in your heart to give them the world. If only you could pay college tuition with heart. And so, how do families burst that bubble early and add into the alchemy of applying to college? We want you to go to the best college for you and the best one we can afford.
Yeah, of course.
And I don't think that that shatters the dream. I think it helps to realize it realistically.
Yeah, it definitely seems that those two are things that are constantly battling each other in trying to make the most, I guess you could say, most worth decision to a family.
Absolutely.
Yeah. And parents also, we've seen a lot, they often assume that admissions is like this mysterious black box where you put in all this information, so many data points, maybe like a student's grades, as you said, maybe their standardized testing scores, a parent's finances, and then you get this response back. But there's almost no clear kind of answer as to how a college gets to that point.
Yeah.
Is there any insight you can give us on maybe how those decisions are made, or maybe what considerations really go into whether a student gets admitted, or how that financial aid is maybe like considered?
I love it. Anthony waits till I become a former admissions officer to spill the goods. How is the sausage made? Anthony, wise guy. People from Newark are good folks, says the guy from Jersey City. I think there are a couple of things that are not telling tales outside of school that are important.
Hmm.
A family's ability to pay is absolutely a correlate to how decisions can be made, not about to admit a student or not to admit a student, but it plays into an institution's, I think, thoughtful consideration about how much they can support a student.
Hmm.
Here's what I mean. Any college admissions office, any financial aid office will tell you about an acronym called NCLEX. NTR is net tuition revenue. There are very few revenue driving arms of any higher education institution. The largest driver of revenue on a college campus is admissions. After that, you probably have like auxiliary and summer programs. So you all may have seen that on college campuses as pre-college program and study on campus at X school. And for 3 weeks and $8,000 as a high school student, you can, right? And so admissions remains a huge driver of revenue. As much as scholarships and financial aid are available, if you're a family that can pay all of the cost of attendance or a better portion of it, where things are equal in terms of students having the same admissions credence, you have to consider that if families can pay, they're going to help realize NTR.
Yeah, of
NTR
course.
is not the villain in the story. It's how you keep the lights on. It's how you keep the Wi-Fi boosting. It's how you keep people paid. And so should families listening say, man, we're bottomlessly wealthy, our kid's definitely getting into college? No. Unqualified rich students get rejected all the time. Should families of really talented students who don't have the money to pay for college, should they be hearing, no, we don't have a shot? No. Those students get opportunities all the time.
Yeah.
I think our audience are folks in the middle.
Of course, yeah.
Who are maybe saying, we have some money, we don't have all the money for college. How do we take the financial resources we have? How do we take the academic and talent resources our student has? And how do we find the best options for us? I kind of refer to that as counseling in the middle. Folks who aren't thinking about the price tag for college have considerations. They're not the same considerations. Families of really talented students who don't have the financial resources have very real challenges, but they're not the same challenges.
Of course.
But most counseling is polarized to both of those ends. One of the beautiful things I think about your platform and your service is that you're really counseling toward the middle. The right colleges, thinking soberly about affordability, really considering, based on those factors, what colleges and what kind of financial planning is going to be necessary.
Yeah, of course. And I guess I know that you have some experiences looking into actual college applications themselves. I think I read somewhere that you've gone maybe over 4,000 applications yourself. Is there anything that you see that really strikes you when comparing two different applications themselves? Like if there's any differentiation that you look for when two applications are very, very similar to each other, maybe in grades or scores or anything like that. What are some things that really pop out to you that are like, this is a great application, or I really like this, or this really struck me?
Listen, Anthony does his homework. I really like this kid. He was on my profile on Solomon Admissions Consulting. That also felt like a plug. That's where he got the number for 4,000 applications. A really good question. You know, when you have two apples, what can make the difference between students who are similar? I think it's all about intellectual curiosity and academic depth. Here's what I mean. If you take one student who has an interest in mathematics, singularly in math, fives on all their APs, they are in multivariable calculus, they have taken all of the math that their school offers. They're strong.
Yeah.
If I have another student who has a similar math profile, but they're maybe looking at interdisciplinary fields academically that go along with mathematics, that student wins the day. I'll give you an example. And since we're here in Massachusetts, by the way, I'll give you an example that comes from Tufts University. I would say Medford, because I'm from New Jersey. In Massachusetts, they say Medford. I have no idea why. There is a professor, Moon Duchin, who's in the math department, and she started a distillation of math electives that looked at mathematics, but also social phenomena.
Hmm.
The class that started it all, which started her consultancy, is called geometry and gerrymandering.
Wow. That's one class.
Yeah,
Wow.
it started as an elective, but it gave the thought leadership to looking at mathematics and social phenomena. Back to your question, that kid that is even early innings exploring the relationship between a geometric lens and looking at social phenomena like gerrymandering and gentrification and redlining and redistricting, I'm taking over that pure math kid every time.
Mm.
And so, what we would call kids who are like that pure math, they're very pointed. And in their own school, maybe in their own mind, they're excellent, but there's no nuance.
Hmm.
There's no creativity. They were consumers of their educational curriculum.
I see.
They weren't producers of any new thought. So I think the intellectual curiosity in producing in education, and I think the other piece too, are really points of distinction. I'm not going to be the old guy who says that there's a generation obsessed with participation trophies,
Hmm.
but there is something about standing out. You know, if we were talking about Instagram, if we were talking about X, having that blue check means you're verified.
Yeah.
I played sports in high school, and I'm grateful for it. I was also a captain. I was also all state in football. I wrestled. I was also a district champ. Never good enough to be a region champ, never good enough to go to states, right? But in my Al Bundy days, you don't even know Al Bundy married with children, but back in my Al Bundy days. But the idea is you want to have points of distinction. So in an application where you have two students who are strong in STEM, but one student is a Regeneron scholar. Regeneron, that's a blue check. That's rare air.
Yeah.
And so I think in the application process, because we're living the life, we're not always looking to fill the resume. Many students participate academically, athletically. Few achieve. Where other things are equal, it's what we call those points of distinction or those points of excellence that make the difference. So what does it say to a student who's 12 or 13 right now? Doing many things isn't as great as doing a few things with excellence.
Hmm. So would you say that maybe also tying a purpose into those things can kind of show that a kid is passionate about something more so than maybe just doing it for, the college application? That's something that we see very often.
Absolutely. I'll give you an example. There's a young man I'm working with, and he's in New York City, and he's very passionate about politics and sustainability. Now, he's grown up in New York City his whole life. His parents were asking me, there was a summer program on like environmental justice at UC Berkeley. They're looking at summer options for the summer of 26. And they said, Lawrence, should we sign him up to go to California to do this program? They'll be there for 4 weeks. They'll learn about environmental justice. They'll get to meet these officials in Northern California. I stopped listening. And I said, so wait a minute. He's from New York City. He lives in New York City. He cares passionately about the issues in New York City. And I could tell they didn't get it, but they were going to get it.
Yeah.
I was like, so why would this kid from New York City go to another city across the country and maybe be sincerely connected to those issues? I mean, sincerely interested in those issues, but he's not connected to them.
He's not tied into that community.
Yeah, it's the ethnotourism of it all.
Mm.
And so, to your point, doing the things that are meaningful to you, because for me, that's the magic in the college admissions process. I learn every time I read an application about things that I formerly would have not been interested in at all. I learned through the college admissions process what ornithology is. Have y'all heard of ornithology? Have you heard of
I
ornithology?
have no idea what ornithology is.
It's the study of birds. Birds. Why wasn't it birdology? It's ornithology. And the student who was interested in ornithology was also interested in taxonomy. I do know that's like stuffing them poor birds. Sorry. But the idea is the way that student talked about ornithology and talked about her interest, it made me interested.
Hmm.
So students should always lean into their unique and genuine areas of interest and passion because passion can be infectious.
Yeah.
So I encourage them to be themselves. It's what they're most qualified to be.
Yeah. So what we're hearing is kind of like it's not a bad thing to kind of show off the things that make you very different, even if you think that they might not be as marketable to, let's say, at like a college or something. But if you find a way to kind of tell a good story behind it, how that really makes you unique and different, and I guess like just a great person, that's a good way to kind of sell yourself to a college.
Yeah, and I would say don't sell yourself, be yourself. There's a
Hmm.
young man who, in my time at Brown, I advocated for. Funny enough, his name is Anthony. And he pitted himself as a graduate of YouTube University. He would just look at stuff online and he would make it. He was a budding mechanical engineer, first generation student, didn't have the access to the funds or the resources to like go to a maker space or an apprenticeship, but he would just make stuff at home, woodwork, some metal work, and him and his sister had grown up in a bunk bed,
Mm.
and his little sister was outgrowing the bunk bed. The graduate of YouTube University wanted to put his skills to use. In his application, he wrote the story about how he made his little sister a bed.
That's so nice. That's so cute.
I'm a dad. I'm a sucker for that.
Mm.
Is it the same as going to a fancy dancy summer program or a maker lab or going somewhere and getting an apprenticeship? No. Is it as sincere, as meaningful, and does that real story have heart?
Compelling.
That kid's on his way to becoming a mechanical engineer. He was
Yeah.
admitted.
Oh, that's awesome. That's
Yeah.
that's such a feel good story to.
Yeah.
I mean, it's great to hear that it has a good ending.
But could you imagine if he didn't think that that story was acceptable for Ivy League admissions?
Hmm. You might have never heard of it. That's great. We see a lot of pressure put on students when it comes to that, telling a good story, specifically for that. I believe it's the Common App essay, just
Yep,
that one essay that goes
that's correct.
to all colleges. Do you have any advice for maybe making a compelling story or having something that's tells you who like tells a college who you are, um, and does it in a way that's really gripping?
Yeah. If my audience are parents and students who are starting high school, ninth and 10th grade, and then this will just make sense to families of juniors. Parents, students, be collectors of stories. Parents love embarrassing their kids in public anyway, with like, oh my gosh, when Anthony was 7, right? Start collecting those stories. In today's age, maybe it's a Google Doc, maybe you do voice notes in your phone, but catch your children pursuing their passions, catch them accepting leadership opportunities. I'm the father of 2 teenagers right now, and you know how teenagers are very emo. One of the worst questions in the world: how was school today?
Mm.
What did you do at school today? They could have cured cancer, and they will still tell you school was okay.
Yeah.
As you catch them pursuing interest, having an interest, receiving, just write those things down because they become assets when it's time to write the Common App essay. Students get overwhelmed, and you might remember it from your time with writer's block.
Yeah.
Here goes this 650 word monster of a Common App essay, and it's all about me. As long as Instagram captions can go, they're not necessarily 650 words unless someone just broke up.
Mm-hmm.
So students have this major reflective essay to write that's all about them. If you capture those stories, along the way. Like if you think about the student I talked about who made the bed for his little sister, parents can help jog their children's memories. Students can relieve themselves of the fear of the blank Google Doc just by collecting those stories along the way. And to your point, don't be concerned about what impresses the college admissions office. Be concerned about what best gives them insight into who you are as a learner.
Mm-hmm.
I'll delineate for students here and families. This is not a super pro tip, but it's kind of a baby pro tip. Remember, colleges want to know about who you are, but as it relates to your pursuit of higher education. So, yeah, the story about Anthony is great, him and his little sister, and he made his little sister a bed. Don't lose the plot. He's majoring to become a mechanical engineer.
Yeah.
If we told that same story and it was about a student's favorite Labubu named Anthony, yeah, it's a cute story. It doesn't tell me anything about the aspiring mechanical engineer. So, yes, personal, yes, genuine, yes, displaying intellectual curiosity. Also, don't lose the plot. If you have a sense of what your college major choices are, make sure that it's thematically consistent.
Yeah, find a way to kind of tie it into that as well.
Absolutely.
Great. I like that you mentioned the sort of exercise that parents can do to try to help their children. We see a lot of parents either don't have the time or the energy to really feel super involved sometimes. They let their kids kind of drive the search and the research itself. But there are others that they're really motivated to try to help as much as possible. What do you think is like the most helpful role that a parent can play during the application process?
Yeah. I would say if I followed the driving analogy, and parents are filled with good intentions. If parents drive the process, you will drive to a town called crazy. Don't drive your kids to crazy town. If they are too far in the back seat, their child can crash.
Mm.
I love young people, not always the best drivers. I think a parent's best job, if it's a vehicle, is to just make sure that the car has gas.
Mm.
Do you have the resources that you need? We know our children. If the executive functioning that a student needs to create deadlines, set deadlines, and meet check-ins isn't their jam, then you help them with list making. If they are an ideas person, but they're not the strongest writer, then maybe they need help with writing support. If they get super anxious and everything feels like it's due at one time, you help them answer the question, how do you eat an elephant? Have you ever heard this question?
No.
How do you eat an elephant? One bite at a time.
Mm.
Right? How do you support the kids in the vehicle that is the college admissions process? Just be sure that the vehicle has gas and that they know that you will be there for the support that they need.
I like how you mentioned that sometimes parents come in with really, really good intentions and that it's very easy to derail sort of that train along that path. Is there anything that you think that families should kind of stop worrying about, or that you wish families would stop worrying about?
Yeah, I think when students and families select the right colleges, subject verb agreement, verb tenses, the grammarian's concern doesn't matter nearly as much. I've seen students start with a phenomenal essay that dies by 1,000 edits, and parents are the murderers with good intention.
Mm-hmm.
Well, if you just change this here, and if you just substitute, and by the time it's finished, it is unrecognizable from the first draft that the student had. Well intended, parents are like, colleges will be more likely to admit you if. Tell you something. If a student is strong and admissible and is applying to the right place, even if the essay isn't the world's greatest, still admitting that kid.
Yeah.
Before I left Brown, we introduced a video introduction. Students get about 90 seconds to 2 minutes to look in front of a camera and, through their own original design, introduce themselves to a college. This was only a year ago.
Oh, really?
I had a student rap her own rendition of Eminem's theme song from 8 Mile. Her rap was terrible. It was horrible. She probably knows who she is, and it's okay because she was admitted.
Mm-hmm.
And the note in the file: phenomenal student, will do great here. I hope she doesn't pursue a career in rap. Illustrative of the answer to your question, if you just are realistic about your child's ability, points of distinction, the opportunities in front of them, if you're realistic about the places that make sense for your time, talent, and treasure, you don't have the grammarians worry. You don't have to worry about other recommendations impressive enough. Through anxiety, students and parents will add far more letters of recommendation than we will ever read.
Mm.
In most processes, we're looking for the counselor's letter recommendation, 1 or 2 teachers. I think mathematically that's 3.
Yeah.
We routinely get applications that have 7 letters of recommendation.
Wow.
The more letters of recommendation you add to that says that the third one wasn't good enough. Says that the second one wasn't good enough. And the first one may be good enough.
So maybe overcompensating is kind of like shooting yourself in the foot a little bit.
And as awesome as your child's babysitter was, who is now a tennis pro, who maybe runs a tennis academy, that might be oddly specific. I don't want to read their letter of recommendation.
Mm-hmm. How is it really relevant to, the judge of their character?
Yeah. And so, I could go on, but the ways in which parents and families extrapolate to overcompensate most times means that you're reaching at a college too far above the pale as a reach school. And it's okay. It's okay. In fact, I recommend it. If you have 1 or 2 reach schools on your college list, that's fine. For some families, every school is a reach school.
Yeah.
It's not healthy.
Mm-hmm. I'm really glad that you brought that point up about maybe managing expectations. That's a huge thing for parents. Of course, everyone wants to send their children to, the school of their dreams, or a great school, a prestigious school. How do you kind of encourage families to think more of in a fit question as opposed to like just a prestige question?
Yeah. As you get older, you will learn about relationships. Getting is easy. Keeping is another. Parents can ask the question with college. Your child getting into that prestigious college, that's awesome. Can they graduate? More than, and all these are important, your child's well-being, their mental health, their sense of self, all those things are relevant. But let's forget the kid for a second. If they get into a college that they can't be successful at in 4 years, how much are you willing to pay in year 5, in year 6, and in year 7 for a college that was above their reach. So I would ask parents to not only think about their children getting into college, but graduating college successfully in 4 years. What would I know about it? My daughter graduated Wake Forest in 2024.
Mhm.
Annual tuition, $77,000. I love her a lot. I want her to graduate in 4 years.
Yeah, of course.
I'll care about her well-being later.
Mhm.
But my well-being related to tuition is going to be poor
Yeah.
if she's still there right now.
Mhm. Those costs can really add up, and when you take into account maybe everything that life throws at you, maybe you might not have a great semester, maybe something might happen. You can never really account for what's going to happen in the next 4 years, much less in the next year.
And for parents, that bumper sticker is nice. The coffee mug is nice. But everybody's going to know it's your aneurysm.
Mhm. Mhm. And I guess this goes into my next question. After everything is done in terms of like the college application, what do you think is really like? What would you describe a successful, I guess, outcome? We heard a little bit more about like the fit financially, but we've also seen a lot of families send kids to college. Maybe they're going through the process with their second child, and they're worried about maybe the fit for the first child was not as great.
Yeah.
When you talk about things like culture or safety or location,
Yeah.
could you speak a little bit about that?
Yeah. I think one of the most successful outcomes when the student submits their college application and when they receive their acceptances is peace. That peace comes from knowing that you were genuine in your college application, so that your attending college has not admitted your representative, has not admitted an avatar of you, but has admitted you for who you genuinely are. I think on the final attending college, you have peace about not just the college, but the community that you're going to. As much for you as we have talked, it was Northeastern, it's also Boston.
Mm-hmm.
As much as it may be WPI, it's also Worcester. For me, for Kane and Montclair, it was Union, New Jersey, and it was Montclair, New Jersey. I don't know that families are considering community and context as much, which is why initially when I talk with students about college searches, I don't talk about colleges at all. We talk about community. Do you want rural, urban, suburban? Those things are going to matter. Do you want a closed campus? Do you want an open campus, particularly now as you think about safety on campus? Yeah. And so I think all of those things are ingredients in a pie that's peace. Mm-hmm. Because the second child won't care as much about what the parents care about. The second child isn't worried so much or concerned as much about the name of the school that their older sibling got into. They want to know that their older sibling, who they love, is whole, happy, safe, and can come back on school breaks.
Yeah. Yeah. Great. As we're kind of like wrapping up here, I'd love to know how you think like the college admissions process, or financial aid process as well, how you think it might change in the next 5 years.
Yeah. And I feel like for those you can understand in the generation, I feel like I'm still a member of like the Hair Club for Men. Not only am I the president, I'm also a client. I still have 4 more kids to go, 14, 13, 8, and 5. So I'll be at this for a while. I think higher education is in a real moment where I think they have to prove again their value proposition. Because I think this is a market where families can ask the question, do my children have to go to college? Mm-hmm. These can be children who might be the second generation in their family. Parents have gone to college, third generation. And I think we're kind of back to where we were, and families are going to be able to ask the critical question. Does my child need to attend a college in order to be successful?
Yeah.
I think micro-credentialing is going to continue to rise. I think particularly in fields that involve computer science and machine learning and AI, a college degree may not be necessary. And that's not an anti-college university sentiment. I think it's going to be even more incumbent upon families to plan well. I think on the college admissions end, I think there's more competition.
Mm-hmm.
And usually for college admissions, they're competing with other colleges and universities. I think they're competing with other credentialing institutions that also draw a straight line to career and industry.
Yeah.
What is it going to do to families? It's going to further inundate the process. Because remember when it was just your kids, their hopes and dreams, and a college application and the FAFSA? Now it's your kids' hopes, dreams, aspirations, college, the FAFSA, and all these other pathways.
Yeah, all these other options too.
So phenomenal companies like yours, I think, are going to be even more necessary because the conversations are going to be earlier, they're going to be deeper, and they're going to require more expertise guidance.
Mm-hmm. I'd also love to hear your opinion on maybe like one piece of advice that you wish every family heard at the start of the process.
I got my master's degree in 2007. I haven't held a job after that asked me what I went to graduate school for. I wish they did. Like 48 credits, like it's a lot. College matters, education matters, degrees matter. But don't let your children lose and don't rob them of who they authentically are. That has nothing to do with formal education. Far more what I've done in my career has been because of the skills and qualities and characteristics that college could never teach me. So college might put them in the conversation, but it's their natural skills, it's the things that you've instilled in them, their values, that brought them to the table to begin with. So college puts a cherry on top. It's not the sundae itself.
What a great way to put it, actually.
Yeah.
And just one more question.
Yeah.
If you were a student applying today, would you do anything differently?
If I was a student applying today, I would really lean into what makes your heart happy. And that sounds really hokey, but I got my bachelor's degree in finance. I got a master's in counseling. I played football and I wrestled, so I don't look like it. I would have majored in theater. I got like this comedic, histrionic actor that was meant for the stage.
Yeah.
That I never nourished.
I can see it.
He's calling me a ham, y'all. That's all he's saying. He's like, it's giving like college Kevin Hart. Like that's really all it's about. But the idea is there's tons of folks my age, and I'm sure people your age who are like, yeah, I went to college and I did this thing. If I could go in the Wayback Machine,
it'd be different.
Here's what I would have done. And so students just lean into what your first heart is, because the fact is, even in that profession, you're going to be that thing anyway. I'm a theater kid in education with a degree in finance and with a degree in counseling.
What you are inside will always manifest itself in whatever you end up doing later on.
You said it better than I did.
All right. Well, thank you so much, Lawrence. Thank you so much for taking the time. I really appreciate it. Hopefully this information is great. For families, for parents, thank you.
Thank you.